Hello, this is Quentin from the Workflow Data Fabric team at ServiceNow. We released a couple of weeks ago a capability called external content connector, and this allows your end users, employees, to search for a document directly from the ServiceNow experiences. I say experiences because it could be when they are performing a search, like in the employee service center, like I'm showing here, or even when they are asking questions and using virtual agent, even when they're going to be using our AI agent. The AI agent will be able to perform those external search using our external content connector. So say I need a document specifically, I'm looking for something, a document or some information about our AI summit that we're running at ServiceNow. I can search for AI summit. You can see it's categorized here in the response. And I do have another tab called SharePoint Online. And this basically exposes the search result from the data that reside in an external repository. In that case, it's those documents and this information reside in SharePoint. But I can stick to the ServiceNow workspace and experience and access to the file, like I'm doing, and have access to the information I'm looking for. This is so I don't have to search in many different search engines. I can stick as an employee, stick to my home screen, which is usually the employee service center, or even search for using virtual agent. Or in the future, you may be interacting or collaborating with AI agent. And you could do that from your phone as well. So this is just to show you what the external content connector does. So you've seen here in 2 minutes a demo. And it's basically a set of connectors. So we do have for Atlassian Confluence. That's one connector we released a couple of weeks ago. And we do have the one for SharePoint Online. And both works are tightly coupled to the AI search capability of ServiceNow. So I'll dive into the configuration so you get a feel for it. It was the first time I was configuring this, and it took me, in all transparency, probably 2 hours, maybe less, to get the whole thing working. So I'm gonna go in my ServiceNow instance, and this time as an admin who has the privilege to configure the external content connector. So I went to the landing page of the external content connector. You can find it. It's available on the store, but you have an admin page here. If you search for external content connector, then I click create, and the first question you get is specific authentication connection. As you can imagine, it's all based on API access. So there's a lot of things that you will have to do in collaboration with your SharePoint Online team. In that case, it's SharePoint that I'm showing, to get those information: application ID, tenant ID, certificate. There's a few steps to generate a certificate. Then you have to go in Microsoft Azure in the app registration and upload the certificate. There's a few steps, but this is well documented if you click here. So all the steps to do that. The thing that we could improve in our doc is at some point we get the thumbprint of the certificate when we upload it into the Azure portal. But it comes as a string that is not a base64 format. So when I first tried, I don't pay attention. Following the doc, I just did a copy paste, and it didn't work. And then I figured when I took a second look, it says base64. So whatever the value for the certificate's thumbprint you get from Azure, you need to convert it to a base64. And I've used if you are, I'm on a Mac and I have the base64 command to do this, but you can ask ChatGPT how to convert, and that will be the easiest way, or just Google it. I will make sure it's added to the doc, the conversion to base64 for those who've never done that before, as a feedback. So then you go in the crawl setting. Here I've limited to the job. Basically, the crawl setting, what it is, it's which SharePoint site you want to kind of explore and discover from ServiceNow. The job's gonna use the API access to read all the information you can get about the SharePoint site and document within those SharePoint sites. And I wanted to go quick, so I just put one of my SharePoint site directly, and that corresponds to the URL of my site that you've seen here. If I go back, I'm actually gonna show you the site here. I do have my SharePoint site. You can see the URL right here. If I go, if I click here, that's the URL of the site. So I just picked that site, and within that SharePoint site here, the SharePoint UI, right? And you click on document, and this is all me testing in a lab, right? This is not representative of a production deployment for sure. I just wanted to make sure I can configure and do a quick demo. So I just uploaded on the SharePoint site just a few documents. But as you can imagine, it will be site and subsite, and thousands of documents per site and subsite. But we can configure the crawl job to discover those sites and do the indexing of all those sites and documents. My lab is pretty simple. I'll just target one site. Then you can create a crawl job. So I'm not gonna execute them just in front of you because I already have the job running, but I'm gonna show you the screen. There is one job that you can do to do a full document crawl. That's could take a lot of time. For me, it just take 5 minutes for just one site and a few documents, but it could take hours or even days, right? I recommend you read the doc to see the limitation that we have on how many objects we can retrieve per site. I'm sure there's limits. I haven't done any large-scale, production type implementation since this is just released. And here you can, the other one, you can select a starting point for the crawl, maybe just to crawl from a subsite or something like that. And then the second one is the crawl for the user mapping, because you want to make sure you expose the data, the document in ServiceNow. If I'm logged in as Quentin in the Employee Service Center and I'm performing a search, I want to only expose the user for which I have access I want to expose the document for which I have access in SharePoint. So when we do the user mapping crawl, we basically grab from SharePoint the user information and group and access, and we're able to map this. So I can only see the document I'm supposed to have access to in SharePoint, but at least in the search, I'm not going to return too much data that I'm not supposed to see when I do a search in ServiceNow. In the crawl history, you can see all the attempts I've done earlier, but basically it tells you it gives you a status on those different jobs. Here I did just a one-time crawl job, but you can schedule, so you do it once and you let this run on a daily basis, nightly basis, right? And those jobs gonna run automatically. And the user mapping, something in order for you to see the full table, like the information. Obviously, I only have one user. It's very simple lab environment. So that's my user in SharePoint, and in my ServiceNow instance, I have a user that has the same user ID. Here it's a display name, but it's the same user ID in my ServiceNow instance. I created, so it does the mapping for sure automatically, and those correspond to the external group in SharePoint. So that's kind of the configuration you have to perform. But on top of this, so this is just grabbing the information about the site, the document, but then you need to link that external content connector configuration to AI search. So you're gonna have to go in the AI search, and I have to be completely honest, I didn't read the doc for that piece. Just kind of poked around and managed to get this to work. But in AI search, you can create a profile, and you can link what source you're gonna be using for that profile, and that profile basically is tied to an application. I hope I'm using the right terminology. So I'm gonna try to open the screen here and show you the configuration. So here we must have, normally we do have AI search activated for Employee Service Center, because that's the one I've, here, Employee Center Pro, that's the name we have. So I'm gonna click Employee Center Pro. At some point, when you configure AI search, you wanna make sure AI search is configured for certain portals, certain application, and those profiles, let's say for the Employee Service Center, you wanna make sure the search source includes the data coming from the external content connector. So if I click here, I'm hoping I'll be able to show you. If not, I'll have to do another deep dive. If I click here, normally I should be able to show you the link to the external connector. When I created the configuration for the SharePoint connector, I called it SharePoint Online. Yeah, here we're gonna see the configuration. You see here? So I do have a search source. That's my link to my external content connector. So I'm opening that view. All right, application, and then the index source is my SharePoint Online. So this is a glue, basically the link. There's a lot more to it, but this is how I was able to get the search to work from the Employees Center by adding my my index source here. All right, this is all external content connector. There's probably some step I'm missing, but then the rest is well documented. It's just AI search capability. So I'm not an expert in the specific AI search, but with the doc, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to get this to work, because I was able to do it without reading the doc clearly. So obviously there's condition. You can filter, the thing that's supposed to be returned. There's a lot more to it, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the AI search connector. So yeah, that was a quick, I guess, 10-12 minutes demo. As a recapitulative, we have a SharePoint here. I went to the store. I'm on the latest release of ServiceNow, the Yokohama release. Went to the plugin section and I activated the external content connector plugin. And then if I go back to my window there, then I went here to the external content connector. I went to create, selected SharePoint Online. I did not activate the plugin. There's a plugin specific for the Atlassian Confluence. That's why I don't see Atlassian, I only see SharePoint Online. I put a name, that's my Quentin Cloud SharePoint here. And then the settings are the settings we already reviewed there. So I'll say the hardest part is not so much within ServiceNow, is making sure you get access to your Azure admin and your SharePoint admin so they can upload the certificate. If you are working on your ServiceNow instance, you probably don't have access to your Azure or Active Directory administrative interface and things like that. So you're gonna have to collaborate with your different teams. So here, if I click here, I'll point you to the doc. I recommend you read the doc before you try to do anything. And if you click on the SharePoint section, we're gonna dive into the specific SharePoint one here, Microsoft SharePoint Online. Because really the key information that you need are documented on that page. So here's gonna give you all the steps you need to follow to generate the self-signed certificate. All the steps I went through. Generate the certificate, then convert it, upload it to SharePoint. So there's a bit of, this is where I spend most of my time. It was in the Azure portal and configuring the app registration, uploading the keys, converting the certificate, and so on. Once you have everything and you follow the doc, it should be pretty straightforward for get this to work. All right, thank you. I hope that's useful, at least to get a sense of what this capability does and the different configuration steps at a high level.